should read that. That's fun. It's absolutely amazing. What was really amazing was, let's see if I could go back here. So, this is the beginning of Hobbes, notice, talking about sense. Everything is motions. So remember, his influence is Galileo. Everything is moving. There's no such thing as actual rest in nature. Remember, Descartes has the same argument, right? There's no such thing as absolute rest. But I will consider them first singly and afterwards in train or dependence upon one another. Singly, they are every one a representation or appearance of some quality or other accident of a body without us. I was absolutely amazed when I read this as a kid that he came up with the idea that when we see things, there are particles in the thing that are actually entering into our eye. Yeah, exactly. What? That's ridiculous. You know, you imagine your soft, gentle eye being bombarded by all these particles and so on. But guess what? We do say today they're called photons. So actually, he was on track. He just had, remember, vocabulary, as I did with Aquinas and the idea of angels, you're looking at this vocabulary, they're dealing with the same problems, but our vocabulary seems to progress. Because he's thinking that there's little particles of everything that's entering into our ears, into our eyes, that there's air pressure on my hands as I'm feeling things and so on. So he's coming up with all kinds of new things to explain our sensory perception and everything. I see folks getting ready to leave, so I'll go ahead and close that out. Are we having fun? Am I doing a good job? I am replying and reading all your stuff. I do. I read it all. But yes, I have my own answers that I've been doing this for what? 150, 160 times. So, and I've used the internet and computer the whole time. So do you have any questions for me? Or should we quit? We're actually early. Am I allowed to leave 5 minutes early? Somebody's got to have questions. Rousseau. Let me talk about Rousseau and why I don't want to say hate. So Rousseau was an opera composer. I'll show you his opera. We can go and you can actually hate it. So everybody's familiar with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, I imagine, but most people that I know of weren't familiar with him as an opera composer. But yes, that's how he got started, writing operas. And they were actually sort of successful. People came, listened to them, liked them, and he made some money. However, he didn't get as much success as he had hoped, so he wrote to Voltaire. How many folks have heard of Voltaire? A couple folks. So Voltaire is already famous. That wasn't actually Voltaire's name, actually. Voltaire. I don't want to be there. I'm going to go. So if you can remember it, I can never remember it, but it's Francois Marie Arouet. French, they don't actually pronounce all their letters. They say lettres instead of letters, etc. I was reading Harry Potter in French last night. Très bien. So anyway, Voltaire is already famous and in trouble with a lot of people because he says some radical things. But Rousseau writes to him and asks him, how do I become famous? Because you're famous, you know how to get famous. How do I become famous? And Voltaire writes back to him and says, write books that say exactly the opposite of what everybody believes. So he does. He writes Emile, which is an educational book that says the best way to the best kind of education is no education. Don't teach kids stuff. Wait till they come to you and ask you questions and then answer their questions. So it should be child-centered education. By the way, our School of Education teaches child-centered education. There's an awful lot of people that read Rousseau and believe that he's actually being serious, right? But if you know that this whole thing is really a joke, that he's just trying to become famous, and so what he does is write a book about getting education, saying that no education is best. Right? And it's hilarious, right? What kind of government is best? No government is best. Right? Government corrupts. The best way to live is in a state of nature. It's not going to be like Hobbes argues, with the dog-eat-dog thing. John Locke will give us another version of it, but as far as Rousseau is concerned, we're made to be perfectly happy in the state of nature. The native life is exactly the best, etc. But one of the main reasons I dislike Rousseau was because he wanted to find out what language was the natural language for people to speak. So he put a child in a closet and raised the child in the closet with no language. And when he took it out to see what language it spoke, he thought it was going to be French. And it didn't speak any language. Child abuse. Yes?
There is a study where they did that to a bunch of orphans or something like that. And then they all died. So it just doesn't work out.
Child abuse, basically. He did the same sort of things with the women that he kind of kept as well. He was mean and rotten. I can't believe people. Even David Hume had trouble with him. I'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
Are we going to small Monday? I thought it was Columbus or like
Initiative people they have already.
It's like Columbus Day.
I have it listed on my syllabus as a class day.
I know ASD is closed.
Interesting.
UAA follows.
I'll be here
Oh,
as long as they let me in the building.
I was going to say that's going to be the big problem.
I don't remember having a holiday.
The
All right.
first question was Hobbes versus Descartes. Who has influenced more about Galveston?
That Hobbes versus Descartes, that was my Monday question. And today's question was, what do you think of Dr. Theodore Mayerne?
Okay.
Especially since he's not a philosopher.
Yeah,
But
But,
a lot
I
of
mean-
people use what he wrote influenced modern day medicine, chemistry.
I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
He was interesting.
You speak French?
Je parle en français. Un peu. Well, actually, I read fine.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dilemma because the muscle that you use to read is one, and another one to hear, and another to speak. And if you're not in practice in speaking,
Yeah.
that muscle atrophies, or if you've never even had it, then